Hi, and welcome to ConfigMas Day 16, our month-long user group party. I'm Amy.
And I'm Johan.
Today we're talking to you about something very shiny, delivery optimization.
That is shiny.
Super shiny. Let's get right to it. So delivery optimization, at its heart, is a cloud service that allows a client to reach out to the internet to look for content from its friends.
Yes. So the interesting fact here is it was actually a company that existed back in 2013, Panda Networks, that Microsoft acquired, and that peer-to-peer solution they had became delivery optimization in Windows 10. And even more fun is that the program manager from that company is still with Microsoft. And we have a character here on our little desk.
We do. So, as you know, before this was for DOINC,
Yes.
Delivery Optimization and Network Cache, which has been rebranded to MCC, but without giving too much away. I'll just say that. But this came from Narkis. This was an Ignite giveaway. So now we have the DO team of Narkis and Amy.
And I got a sticker.
Yes, and stickers as well. I've already put my sticker on my laptop, and you have a new sticker to place on yours. So
Yes.
thanks, Narkis.
Very shiny. So in terms of this cloud service, the content it can peer-to-peer in between clients is actually quite a lot, and it's growing day by day. Even the ConfigMas team is now embarking on a journey to figure out how they can use delivery optimization more. And as we mentioned in one of our previous sessions around 1910 features, Windows updates now can use delivery optimization without you having to configure express installation files, which quite frankly wasn't the best solution. So that's pretty cool. But the content it can peer is, for example, updates to the built-in apps in Windows 10, store applications that you download to Windows 10. It can be Office updates and now also Office setup files. It can be Win32 apps that you have in Intune. And did I forget anything? I think that was pretty much it.
Sounds right.
Yeah. So, and you might think, well, that's not a big deal. Well, it is. If you deploy a machine with Windows 10, 18, or 9, and you leave the building for a day or two, that machine is going to download well over a gig of content. And then every month it's going to be several hundred megs that's being downloaded just to update the native apps in Windows 10. And as Amy mentioned before, this is a cloud service. The client are getting that data from internet. And imagine you have 1,000 clients and they each decide to download a gig each. That's a lot of gigs. And your network team is not going to be happy.
Yeah.
So the more you can peer-to-peer, the better that is. And the way we configure this is usually through settings in group policy or through scripts. So let me show you a few good examples. So I have a blog post where I have been sort of step-by-step guide on how to configure delivery optimization. And in the very end, I provided some sort of startup settings that I recommend for organizations. And the most important one is this one here. That's the group mode. Group mode is used to bundle machines together. So there are other ways as well, but I really like mode 2 because I can combine that with something called a group ID. And that means that I will assign a number, a GUID, to all machines in the same well-connected locations. So if me and Amy's machine would have a WAN link in between, I would assign one GUID to all machines in this location and a different GUID to that location. And that makes sure that they would not peer-to-peer over the WAN link, because that would not be good at all.
Yeah, so a question we often get asked, quiz time, how should we set the group ID? Is it better to do it by a group policy or via config manager? So
depends on how good the boundary groups are in config manager. Because if they are perfect, like they're matching your network locations, that's a great way to configure that group ID. If it doesn't, well, set it with something else. There is also something you can do if you have a sort of a little bit of less managed networks or less controlled network. You can actually now, assuming you have 1803 and above of Windows 10, you can actually make it behave like branch cache, meaning peer selection is restricted to the same subnet. And that works surprisingly well, even for larger organizations to have that, because clients in the same subnet, they are typically well connected.
Yeah. And there are also PowerShell commandlets that you can use when
Yes.
you're testing delivery optimization. You can even delete the DO cache if you wanted to download things and test how it is, change some of those settings, and then clear the cache and try again, just like you could when you were testing branch cache,
Yeah.
which is pretty great.
What I found when testing is that the store apps are fantastic for testing.
Yeah.
Because it's often kind of hard to trick Windows into update calculator like right now when I'm sitting in front of the computer. But I can install like the Forza game or something from the store and do it in this one, wait a little bit and go over to your machine and do the same thing. And I can see how it works around and play. And speaking of testing, something that bit me so hard in the early days of delivery optimization was I was testing on VMs. And for my life, I could not get them to appear until after a while, I figured out that it requires 4 gig of RAM to peer, which is never a problem on a physical device, because if you deploy Windows 10 to machines and you don't, to users, and you don't give them 4 gigs, not good. But my VMs were only 2 gigs. So you can use a policy as well to set that down to 2, and then that will appear as well.
Yeah. So looking at some of those settings, also how long the content sticks around with the PowerShell commandlets, as late or as early, however you'd say it, that came with 1903. You can pin the content so you can decide how long it stays around. So I have it pulled up here. This is a blog post written by a coworker of ours, but you use the set delivery optimization status. You give it a file ID and set how long you want it to stay around for and use the pin parameter.
Yeah, that's pretty cool. The default is just a few days, and in this scenario I was using group policy to target not a single content but all content to stay around for a month. But as Amy said, if you have specific content you really want to make sure stay, why not? All right. Other than that, when you set this up, when you start to play around with it, please be aware of that all the DO settings are being stored in the registry. So you can always go to this location and review them and see what they are. For example, comparing the group IDs or whatever you need to check. Another thing I recommend as well is make sure, as when we were talking about peer cache yesterday, do spin up a lab environment that actually has multiple networks. So you can simulate and test this. And if you want to know how to set up a router, if you search the blog for router or virtual router or pfSense, you're going to see a bunch of different articles on how to set up this, and it doesn't take too long, 10-15 minutes of work, and then you have a virtual router. So highly recommended. Did we get it all?
I think so.
Yeah.
So definitely let us know in the video comments. Are you using delivery optimization in your organization? Are you excited about testing Microsoft Connected Cache? Something we'll talk about later. And we will catch you in the next video.
All right. Bye for now. Thank you.